Correct? When it goes badly, the leader steps out and said, "My bad, I take full responsibility for this. I underestimated this." The leader does that. Yeah. And when everything goes well, what does the leader do? I couldn't have done it without my fear. Exactly. Oh, okay. Exactly.
So welcome back to the Lighthouse Lounge. As you know, my name is Dion. Today I have our very first guest on set, and to commemorate that, we went outdoors. So I have with me today Jason Carillo. He's a pastor of 20 years. He has been a national youth leader of how many churches? About 65, 60 something churches. Yeah, 60 something churches at that time. But most importantly, and to zone in on our topic today, he is the founder of the Rethink organization, an organization all about leadership. Welcome to the Lighthouse Law.
Love to be here.
Yes. Leadership. Why?
Leadership, excellent question, excellent place to start. Uh, John Maxwell says that everything rises and falls on leadership. And so if we are not able to get a good handle on that and get a good start with leadership, everything after there is going to be in problems. It's true. And with leadership, we consider we challenge you to be transformed by renewing your mind. Well, that statement comes from a text that has been in Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. Yeah. It says, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." And it's a profound thought that it can be transformed by changing your thinking. So the idea of renewing your thinking is about changing the way that you think to a better way of thinking. And that's how our lives can be transformed.
You have a particularly unique take on leadership. But before we go into that, I want your insights on leadership within the church. There is a camp within the church that says it's all about spirituality. And then there's a camp that is all about order or leadership. Like, where does leadership end and spirituality begin? Or I don't know how speak.
Yeah, sure. Great question. There probably is not a line that will make a demarcation between what is spirituality and what is leadership. It probably doesn't exist. Although we may see that. What we want to recognize is that leadership is absolutely critical. We see that in life of Jesus, and we look to Jesus for a model and a pattern and example for leadership. And we find that exactly there. Jesus was a leader. Jesus taught leadership. Jesus demonstrated leadership. And that's where we need to look. But Jesus was also our ultimate spiritual personess. Yeah. He is the ultimate example. And so he embodies all of that in one. And so it's probably less about a line of demarcation, but recognizing that in spirituality, there is the reality of leadership. There is the need for leadership.
I love that answer. Sort of says that it's like this rather than like this, right? It's not one or the other. Different people just do it differently, right? Or people do it differently. You do it a lot differently. You teach a lot differently. And there's one thing within your teachings that I really like. So when we talk about leadership, normally in this Poland world that we usually talk about somebody with power, somebody with authority, somebody with the ability to do what they want. But leadership and biblical leadership was about the people rather than the idea. And you have this concept that you speak about. You speak about something called connection. It's less about the leader and more about the connection. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, sure. I'm thanks for reasoning, because as you mentioned, leaders, there are different types of leaders. People have different personalities, so their leadership style is influenced by that. We may sometimes think about a leader. When we think about a leader, typically we think about men. Yeah, typically. And then when we think about the kind of person that is, we think about somebody who's charismatic, somebody who's outgoing, but somebody who everybody loves, and some people who can speak well. We think about that. That's one kind of leader. That's for sure. That's one kind of leader. Some people pattern themselves after that kind of, and great, but that's not the only kind of leader. When we look at the ultimate leader, Jesus, we see Jesus doing something that is so important. Jesus connected with people. Jesus connected with people so much that some of the religious people were upset with him. They called him a wine bibber and a friend of publicans and sinners. Why were they able to do that?
And they couldn't connect.
Like people say, what are you doing? That's not their thing. These were the rabbis are we over here.
Yeah.
That's who they were. But Jesus, however, Jesus had the heart and ears of the common man. Jesus, the way that he went about his leadership was completely different from the others. And beyond, we oftentimes probably in reading the scripture, not going to realize how drastically different this was. Because our 21st century understanding of things will color it and then let us down. So, for example, it's no big thing today for us to look around and have other leaders, and that's a woman, that's a young man. That's normal. Right? There's a different destiny. Excuse me. That's normal. But in Jesus' day, what woman are you talking to me about leader? But for no. What woman is mighty? It's like, no. Yeah, that's not it. Yet Jesus had women who were disciples. Now, sometimes we try to belittle the role and say, yeah, but they were just following in. The disciples are follow of Christ. They, the first persons who witnessed the resurrected Christ were women. These are things that were unheard of in Jesus' day. The idea that Jesus would go to someone and say, follow me. To go to somebody like Matthew, who is a tax collector.
Yeah.
This is his come of the earth.
Yeah.
This is the traitor. This is the man who was working with the Roman government. This is the man who was making money on our head. Zacchaeus, when Zacchaeus said, come by me, and Zacchaeus said, look, if I defraud anybody, I will restore how much ever times? That's because Zacchaeus had bank. He had it. Zacchaeus made money as a tax collector on people's head. That is a category of person that Jesus went to at the seat of receiving taxes and said to Matthew, come follow me. What?
Yeah. When you say that, it sparked in my head that he was so good at connecting that he caused Zacchaeus and Matthew to feel comfortable enough to come, and he caused the people to be comfortable enough to receive that. It's like that was the level like connected. Now, did everybody receive them? Probably not. But the fact that, because I'm thinking to myself, if I was considered a Scot of youth, I could love a leader all what I want, but if he calling me to follow him, like his leadership had to be so far and beyond to make me give up my pretty callous to go among people who will not receive. Because that was the level of connection that Jesus, that healing led with. Not only was for one people, I feel like if he was a political leader, he would get people from the both sides saying there's Rabbi. Yeah, that's kind of people person. So
Yeah. So in one ways of defining connection is the ability to relate to and identify with people in a way that allows you to have influence with them. It is not the getting of power. It's not getting of power. There's an interesting thing with the getting of power. And this is a lesson that I learned from, of all places, Adolf Hitler, before World War II. Prior to World War II, Adolf Hitler rising to the power and holy title of Führer, before he got there, he tried to seize power. And he went to jail. One of the things that came as a result of that is he learned a very powerful and potent lesson. Do not try to take power. Allow them to give it to you. And that is exactly what one of the reasons why he was so ingrained as a leader, and make no mistake about it, as a powerful leader, people gave him power. He had their permission to lead. So when we seek to lead people, when we seek to connect with people, we want to be able to identify with them, not to relate to them. This is not the politician coming kissing babies. It's not that. That's fake. Yeah. It's not that. This is genuinely be able to chat with people, to talk with people, to relate with people.
So, in terms of connection, in terms of influence, they have a lot of leaders here, and or people aspiring to be leaders. Like, what are some things they could do to connect so that people would give them influence over their lives?
Yeah, sure. Excellent question. When we find areas where there's common ground or a point of connection, that allows us to step over the difficult stuff, right? What should we talk about? What should I ask? Those same questions. People find commonality in there. My sister lives abroad. Yeah, she's lived abroad and she lives in England. She's lived there for 3 decades. And I remember her sharing an interesting incident in her very early days. She's driving and the car passes her going in the opposite direction. She recognizes that there's a Trinidad and Tobago flag on the car. What did she do? She turned her car around. She chased down the other car. Yeah. Flagged that person down. Wow. And was able to connect with it. Because they connected over the fact that truly connection requires effort, right? Exactly, yeah. And oftentimes, the effort is required on the part of the person who is connecting, who wants to connect. You bring the energy. So, yeah, some of the others may be speakers. One of the cardinal sins in speaking, in preaching, in public speaking, is taken for granted the fact that you need to connect with these folks before you try to communicate with them.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you need to connect with the people before you speak to them.
Yeah. So we as preachers, we are communicators. I mean, if we pride ourselves, pride simply this is what we do, on our ability to communicate with them, to share the word of God, etc. That's great. That's fine. What we focus on in there is imparting information. So the word of God says this. So Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Yeah, John chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God. And we want to share information, impart information. Yeah. What makes you think they're listening? Right? So you take it for granted that yeah, so you are stepping into the pulpit, they want to listen to you. Yeah, that's taken a lot for granted. They might just be, their mind is on what the heck for lunch, boy? All over the place. Exactly. So if before we seek to communicate information, we take the opportunity to connect with. And we can connect with them a number of ways. We can start with a story. This morning I was getting ready to do such and such, and this is what happened. We are wired for story. If someone starts telling a story, we perk up and listen and lean in there immediately. That smoothens the road. That is a bridge that we put into place that allows the communication to run easily. All right. So okay.
You bring in some stuff that is a breakthrough. So before we preach, you need a bridge that will allow us to connect with the people that we're preaching to. And one of the things that builds that bridge is stories. What kind of stories? The most powerful stories are personal stories. Personal stories. And they're often very simple things that the average person would be able to identify. So, for example, earlier today, you and I had made an arrangement to meet up. My schedule changed. I messaged you last night to see what my schedule changed, and that schedule changed drastically. Again, this morning. So, if I am talking about patience, a point in my sermon is about patience, and I tell the story. I went to the bank this morning to do a relatively simple transaction. To do a deposit of a small amount, and to replace my bank card. And people feel that story because they went to this.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes.
When I say that simple transaction took away 2.5 hours of my life. Do you can understand that?
Yeah. Okay, I could feel that pain. And I mean, for the people who are leaders, potential leaders, for the pastors, for the preachers, I personally would rather you make one point, but you relate. I would rather listen to a sermon that had one point that relates to me, that makes me feel something, that makes me say, yes, I could relate to that. And only as you are opening this box, I'm seeing behind the scenes people who I like, people who I like, they are storytellers right now. So yeah, you just peel back the curtain there. Yes, you peel back the curtain there, and mash up everybody's business.
Jesus was a storyteller. What? That's what he is. Right? Parables. All the parables are one thing. Story.
Because he could have come down and he could have been like, Bull says this, the law says that, Moses said this, things said that, and then walked on. But it's the parables that brought the people.
Exactly. Oh, when Jesus wanted to teach about the kingdom, what did Jesus say? The kingdom of heaven is like unto. And he told a story
About their lives.
Exactly. They could identify with all of them.
The farmers and the fishermen and the it was stories about seeds and fish. Yep. I was like most of the stories that were seeds and fish.
Oh, yeah.
People and the camping and the widow and you get people would have leaned in, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now remember what connecting is. One of the ways that defining connection is being able to identify with and relate with the people. Yeah. And so if a speaker wants to connect with me, and that speaker is telling me a story that I can identify with, I immediately lean in. Yeah. There's the connection right there.
Don't talk to me unless you could tell my story. I can lean in and say it.
Another way of that I define that is connection is a key that opens communications door. That's the key. You're trying to open this door, but the key is gonna think about a corporate leader. Yeah, a corporate leader who is at the end of their awards function, for example. That person can quote and cite all sorts of statistics, and people's heads are going to start leaning back, and their eyes are going to suddenly get happy. Let that leader start telling a story about how we got to this point. So we have had an increase of 50% productivity of traffic. We were able to pay you a bigger bonus because of, and then let that leader start telling a story about a person, one of the team members. Don't call the name because there are several ways to go, but just describe the scenario about one of your team members who did this and this was it, and they start guessing who it is. Yeah, he or she has them already. Oh yes, connected, and then issue. So they are identifying very easy. That is a story.
Yeah. We could go whole day with connection. We could go whole day with connection. I just want to give you a little, just a snippet because we don't want this video to go forever. But if they want, they could see more of you, right? We'll talk about that at the end. There's a next concept that you speak about a lot in your workshops. Influence. I know, and I think everybody knows the John Maxwell quote with influence, but speak to influence and especially speak to influence within the setting of the push.
Yeah, sure. And so we again go to Jesus, because Jesus, there's this true line that goes between connection and influence. When we define connection, it's about being able to identify with and relate to people. Why? So that you can increase your influence with them. Right. Yeah. So if someone has influence with you, they can lead you. John Maxwell's definition for leadership is that leadership is influence. Yeah. But he doesn't stop there. He says nothing more, nothing less. That tells us that to be able to lead someone, you need to have influence with them. If you don't have influence with them, you can't lead them. You could jump and scream. You can do it. They will do what you want if you threaten them. Yeah. But that's not leadership.
The pastor wants Johnny he sees potential in him. He wants him to step up and to be part of a program, to be a part of a committee, to be part of something that is no longer a bench warmer, but he's actually taken charge and given up inside. Talk about what you just said, but relating to that pastor John.
Sure. Until John sees what Is pastor saying John may go along, but never embrace? Oh. And so in an approach to that, the pastor may want to get to know what is John real? Why is John like this? What is John for? If I take an interest in what somebody else is interested in, they will take notice of the connection. Yeah. I take notice of. It puts me in a position to be able to influence them. Not what they may doing might not be what I want them to do. And positioning myself to have enough influence with them that when I raise a matter with them, they will be able to see, oh, because I have influence with them. This is not some random stranger on the streets. Yes, yeah. I genuinely have. Not only will they respond to me because they respect me and they put the office that I hold, not only that, but way more than that. The relationship that we have allows me to bring that influence.
What we want is to connect enough so that they move beyond doing it for the sake of doing it, but because they see this vision, that's what they say, yeah. So connection comes to us. Connection builds influence. And influence allows the leader to reach.
But influence puts the leader in a position where we have a willing foil. This is not just respecting the office, respecting the title. It's more than that. There is the expression, I will follow you anywhere. That is hard won. There's no way on this God's earth does that come from title.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Separate concept. There are different levels of influence, hence different levels of leadership. And so we all come in at a basic level. This is my title.
Yeah.
I am the boss. You need to do this because I say so. No. But we go further than that. We go to the place where that person respects me as a two-star one. And the good ones go further than that. And the good ones go further than that. So when we can have genuine influence with people, this goes way beyond title. This is you recognizing that I am for you. I'm for you. Yeah. One of the problems that we seem to have in church is agenda. Everyone has an agenda. And if you don't have a plan for yourself, everybody else has a plan how you will help them advance their goals. Right? But what to tie this back to influence? If I perceive that the reason that you are asking me to be part of this is so that I can help you advance your cause, your agenda, although this is under the umbrella of advancing the kingdom of Christ, but I perceive it as well, you are going to get the benefit out of this. Right. I'm going to ask some questions. If, however, I see you as someone who wants to help me get where I am going and understands who I am, what I'm about, how I'm built, and help me become who I'm intended to be. So, for example, one of my personal basic foundational beliefs is that we are all created by God with a purpose. And that we are uniquely gifted and talented with abilities that will help us achieve that purpose. We need to discover what that mission is, find our gifts, hone them, and use them to fulfill that. So, you want me to help you do this. My former pastor taught us an expression a long time ago. With him, it's an acronym. WIIFIM. What's in it for me? As another person says, we are listening to radio WIIFIM. All right, or FM. Right? Yeah. So the question comes up. We are inherently selfish. Yeah, we sure. So we want to know, what do I get out of this? I am leaving my family. I do know this. But and because of that spiritualized this thing about, it's for the kingdom of God. Yeah, we understand that.
That reminds me of some leaders that I know. They try to give you, they try to influence you by saying that this is the kingdom, and that's it. Whereas the good ones would say, this is for the kingdom of God, but here's how you could also enter.
And it's important because you have flesh and blood. Yeah. We are flesh and blood. It's great to be on board and advance in the kingdom. That's what we all want. At the end of the day, what we want to do is advance the kingdom of God. Yeah. But inside of there's something that God is doing in us. Yeah. So if, for example, if I come on board with this, and this is taking me away from where I am seeking to go, I have questions. Yeah. I have questions. Right? And we can't dismiss that. We can't just over spiritualize. We have to recognize it. It may be that this person is going to learn a lesson by being part of this. Learn about sacrifice, learn about submission. All of those are part of it. Great. Because at the end of the day, this is what you can walk away from. Sure. Another way of doing that is, well, okay, let's see, how was this person built? What motivates this person? So 112 would list some motivational gifts. What are this person's motivational gifts? What is their training like? What is their skill? How are they naturally built? How can I then put this person in a stream that is suited for them? And so they get into that stream and they are happy to go there because they can serve not just out of compulsion, not out of submission, not out because somebody asked me. This is right up my alley. Yeah. So, for example, I sometimes speak about when I'm speaking, when I'm teaching, when I'm facilitating, when I'm doing a workshop. I am a fish in water. We familiar to fish out of water. I'm not interested in that. Yeah. I'm a fish in water when I'm teaching. That's my element. That's where I need to be.
If a leader would have asked you to do that, you'd be like, "Yep, I'll do it. I'll do it quickly. I'll do it fast, and I'll do it well."
Exactly. Yeah. Recently, I was speaking with someone about the differences in the way that they would feel between two different environments. One was a work environment where they call it lots of meetings. They press these meetings and then they need to go to this meet and greet. And at the end of the day, that person is drained because that environment is not their thing. And describe another scenario. So, well, okay, of course, on this side, you are asked to lead a half-day workshop with these Bible students who hungry for the word. Some 9 to 3. How would you feel? You know, that person's response to me was a question. Only until 3 o'clock? Yeah. Because at 3 o'clock, that person repeats and come more. Because that's their element. Yeah. That's where they are.
So you are saying that one of a leader's responsibility is to see the people who they are leading, to see their strengths and put them in places to succeed.
Exactly. Yeah. I am for you. I want you to succeed. I want you to be in an environment where you are going to flourish. Not
try to give everybody the garbage she feels. Precisely. And then he take all the glory.
Precisely, yeah. Someone said recently that the thing that you dread is somebody else's treasure. But girl, so we talk about figures and Excel spreadsheets and maths, and some people's eyes just glaze over. You lose them immediately. And another person, Excel spreadsheets, figures, numbers, and they are in their glee, they are in their element. Are you wondering, are you okay? Yeah. Because they are not you, they are built different. Yeah. So if we have that understanding and appreciation, it puts us in a position to be able to influence them. Because I'm for you. Stephen Covey, back in the, I think, 90s, maybe late 80s or some in 90s, had a best-selling book. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. What's one of those habits? Supposed to understand, then to be understood. As leaders, we want everybody to understand, this is how I am. In the morning, I haven't had my coffee, I said, I'm grumpy. Yeah. We want everybody to understand that. Yes. Are you as a leader understanding the people that you are following? That's true. Do you understand what their strengths are? You understand why you should give this person this task, but this other person? Do you understand that? Are you seeking to understand these people? This mosaic of people that God has given to you. Mm-hmm. Are you seeking to understand that? So an example from our church. I did a teaching on the motivational disc. This was a series. This is not one sermon. We can't do justice to it. Yeah. Did a series of teaching on motivation aids. And on the last day of that sermon, I handed out to everyone in our congregation a motivational gift assessment. So yeah. Because we wanted to know, how are you built? What motivates? And so went through that. Everybody followed it. And I took up all the results, created a master sheet so we knew who was gifted in which way. That was in the month of August. And at the end of August, what we wanted to do is, as a part of our ministry benevolence, to bless a family, help them with back to school suppers. Right. So Natural question. Who do we give this to? Do we just hand the leaders? Do we ask do we give this one? It was simple. It was now down to a science. Go to the master sheets and look for everyone who is mercy gifted. Because those are the people who are going to feel.
Yeah. So those are the people who we don't even need a story at that point. Exactly. They want to jump.
Exactly.
They want to jump.
So gather those people and said, this is what would like to do. This is your budget. Any questions? No? Go to work. And they went to work. What did they do? They took the budget that we gave them, and then they raised other funds, and then they did this. It's like, are you serious? You know,
Like they exceeded expectations.
exceed expectations. And they blessed that family incredibly.
Wow.
I didn't take anything from them because that was, to Moratum, that was their jam.
Yeah.
That's what they into. So,
And the little bit of effort from you was simply to inquire of your people their strength.
precisely there. So I equip them with understanding and knowledge and then empower them to run. So as we seek to influence people, we want to take a moment. Now, I understand that we're living in a time where we have significantly large churches. For the most part, in our country, Trinidad and Tobago, you don't really have traditional mega churches. We probably have a couple churches who's actually at or close to typical traditional mega church size. Sure, but we can easily have churches with congregations of 500 people, 300 people, etc. And a reasonable question might be to ask, well, if I want to influence all these people, I can't get to each of them individually. And you're right. You're correct. It doesn't need to be the senior leader. It can be that we put other structures into place, that we deploy people, other leaders who will be closer to those kids there. They are the ones who are in a position to be able to do that. And you lead from a position, not just from your office, but you are the chief shepherd in this environment. So you lead from that position. Every so often you take the opportunity to connect with people, the deep people. There's an expression that John Maxwell uses, like absolutely love. And I use it all over the place. It's a leadership tool. It's very simple. It's walking slowly through the path. Here's an actual implementation of it. At our former church, we had something that pastor used to call second service. Right. So the service is dismissed. A few people are going to go home for the next hour. The building is kind of full because nobody is going home. People are enjoying the quote-unquote second service.
Yeah.
Oh, it is in that environment, that a leader simply takes it and goes, read people, how you doing? Good to see you. How things, inquire about this person's family, tell me about how this thing went, and so we walk slowly through the park. That obtains in a church environment, in the corporate environment, it also works. So both in the sacred and the secular, in church and corporate, it also works. It's walking slowly through the park. What are we doing there? We're building up our influence. We are connecting with them and we are building influence with them. So this is not really like a social butterfly. Hey, good to see you, and God. Hey, so no, you're talking to somebody. Hey, this is not that. This is taking a minute to ask us an important person. Ask about the person's share. Ask about this thing must happen there. The person was facing this. Inquire about her. Stop and release.
When you say that, I think about a leader who, you ask one question. Your intent was to walk slowly through the crowd. Your intent was to say, "Oh, this one doing? Hey, she all right?" You expect to hear, "Yes, good," and move on and walk through it. Then somebody catches you in a deep conversation, and then you start to do this.
How do you avoid that? We have this interesting term that people time management, and it doesn't exist. It's a myth. To manage anything, you must have control.
Yeah.
You can manage money. You can manage the quality of things because we are controlled over those things. Time is something that none of us. God has control. We don't. So we are creatures of time. We live in time. We don't have control over time. So a friend of mine shared with us a very important understanding of, don't try to manage your time. Rather manage your priorities. Manage and determine what are the important things and the other pieces that budget your time. Budget your time. And in that, walking through the crowd, as a leader, I know I want to go and touch several of these people I can't enter that 30-minute conversation with this one right now because I'm going to lose all of that. So before we get to the point, though, before we get there, ask the question, inquire, realize that this person is setting up to go a little deeper. Yeah. And we simply lean in, like my doctor would do. So masturbate, lean in and put a hand on his shoulder. I would love to hear some more about this. Can we have a conversation tomorrow? Or maybe a little bit later? Or maybe, can I have a quick prayer for you right now about that? But let's go a little deeper into this when I get a conversation. So that person doesn't have to read my body language. Yeah. My eyes are flicking, our body close. Yeah. I'm twisting, I'm fidgeting. That person doesn't need to do that.
So you make that deposit without messing it up.
Yeah, that person not offended. That person understands what I say is busy, but I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. I like that. That's an awesome tip, because we all fall victim to that every now and again. Leader or not, you want to be able to work the crowd. Yeah. And then somebody schools you.
Yeah.
In that vice grip of a conversation that you don't mind. It's just that they were like the first person you talk to, and you are seeing everybody exit, and you're like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. I like, oh, it seems like you have a lot to say. I know someone would like to hear.
And something, for example, to not say. So this is what to say, but to not say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about I need to go on. No. I need to see this one or that one.
No, I have done that a lot.
Because what happens there is the person then perceives, oh, they are more important than me. Right. That's not what you're intending.
Yeah.
So communication is really, really important. What we don't realize is that we communicate not only when we're in the pulpit. That's verbal communication, primarily verbal communication as far as we think. It's more than that, but we think more than verbal communication. But we're communicating all the time. And even in those simple one-on-one conversations, we actually have more of those conversations than we have opportunities to stand in a pulpit and preach.
That is the issue. That is.
So that is where we hone the skills.
Right.
That's where we hold the skill.
So this thing is beyond leadership all day. All they get to know. The value here is because we all have to manage relationships, friendships, and acquaintances, and sometimes we do it slip into that zone of, making somebody feel less important than someone else or something else. That's a really good tip. I will have to think about multiple ways to slip out from that, because so many people want to talk about something, and we have to recognize it's important to them. Whatever they're talking about is important to them. Don't let them feel as though it's not important to you. That's something that Haiti said they have to work on. I like that strategy, which is, let's talk about this the next time. But it can't just be that, right? You have to left from personal list. You have to do it differently, right? Because if somebody who I'm very close to tell me, seems like you have a lot to talk to, tell me better like that, I'll be like, what kind of generic kind of, exactly, brush off is that, like cut and paste kind of, yeah, don't cut and paste with me, right? So so sit down, think about it, tailor it out. Why, instead of watching your watch and watching a raw, think about what is the best way that I could tell this person, yeah, I need to go without trying to I need to go here. I like that.
And it's for that person. So somebody well said, hey, later,
Yeah, another I taking that. No one, hey, pause, hey, yeah, like you know what I mean. Like, I rather had a very communist be like, see, you have a lot to talk about. Yeah. So there's not a not a cutty cutter approach.
Yeah.
And definitely, as you said earlier, leadership requires effort, connection requires effort, influence requires effort. Um, huh. Let's move on before we fall. So first we connect. It allows us the capacity to influence. And when we influence, we are able to do what now?
We can empower that person to do what they are designed or intended for, how they are built, to reach their potential, fulfill their ability. The Apostle Paul tells Timothy to make full proof of your ministry. That from my perspective is be all you can be for God. Don't shortchange it. Don't go halfway. Be all you can be. Make full proof of your ministry.
What you are saying there is leadership. Like it's by empowering the people, you are solidifying your leadership.
We don't typically see that way, but that's what we do.
It's like because we normally see things like, okay, I'm the king, I come, and what I want to implement certain things. But what you are saying here is to rethink all that. Rethink, because it starts with the people and then it ends with the people. So empowerment, connect, influence, and empower. Nothing about that has anything to do with the leader himself.
Well, the leader facilitates that. Right, that's the rule. But as yet, it's typically not directed. The end result is not directed at the leader.
But yet the leaders who implements those key points, they are considered the best leaders.
Yep. And the people benefit from it. The leader benefits from it. The leader gets to accomplish what the leader is seeking to do. The people are fulfilled by what they're doing. It's win on all.
Speak more and
Oh, sure. There's an interesting statement that goes. So I'll ask you the question. Yeah. If you are given responsibility for something, so you are the quote unquote leader. Beyond this is what I need you to accomplish. What is the first thing that you are likely to do, or the first person you're likely to ask yourself? Who's my team? Who's your team? Exactly. Many people think about that after the fact. They think about what do we need to do, how are we going to get this done, what's the strategy, and then realize, oh, I need some. I forget the leader who said this. They said the first question you should ask yourself is who is going to help me.
Yeah.
I have this task to take care of, to fulfill. Who is going to help me with this? Who am I going to empower? Leadership is about many things. Yeah. Or rather, leadership involves and includes many things. But leadership really and truly is about one thing alone. People.
Why do we not ask who will help us?
We're not trained that. We're not socialized that. It's like we tend to think negative rather than think positive. That's the environment that we're in.
Because to me, that felt like a kind of negative question to ask, right? It felt like I'm doubting in my ability.
Yeah.
You was going to help.
You're not enough.
Yeah.
You're not enough. But it's not about you. You are the facilitator. When the leader does the job well, the people feel we did it. The people don't even say it's him, he is no. Because that leader did their job so well.
Yeah.
They became almost transparent in the entire process.
Wow. That is something that you want. That is something that you want because it just takes it causes people to rethink. The leader wants the victory to be shared amongst the people.
See, they become accustomed to a couple of things. What I call the Superman pastor and the superhero CEO. It's about them. Yeah. Without them, we can't do anything.
All right.
There's a story told at I have the name of the company in mind, but I'm not sure if it's that company, so I won't mention the name of the company. They brought in a superstar C back in the 80s. In real trouble, brought in a superstar C. And this person was really very good at what they did. But they were poor at sharing. They were poor at actually empowering. And so after that CEO left, that company found themselves almost straight back where they were a short while after. Because that superstar CEO did not really empower and raise up the leaders around them, rather use them to accomplish their agenda. Wow. And one of the important lessons that we learn in leadership is leaders work through people. It is not the leader's job, really and truly, to get these things done. That's not your job.
Right.
Your job is to ensure that it's done. Yeah. What you need to do is to ensure that you get people, hand them responsibility and your authority to be able to get this stuff.
Am I right in saying that the leader's job is to take the blame if it don't?
Correct? That's it. Correct. When it goes badly, the leader steps out and said, "My bad. I take full responsibility for this. I underestimated this." The leader does that.
Yeah.
And when everything goes well, what does the leader do?
I couldn't have done it without my team.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So the leader deflects all of that. All of that. Right. And you hear the best leaders doing that. Yeah.
Give us some strategies about empower.
When we want to empower people, so let's take one that I actually did this for my daughter many years ago when she was like, and it's an acronym that I would say to her, I see, and the word CSWE, each letter in an acronym means something else. S is support. I support you. The first E is I encourage you. And the second E is I empower you. So if I say I see, that actually was born out of something that I heard in the movie Avatar, the original Avatar, where they would greet each other and say, I see you. And that expression, I see you, was far deeper than my eyes behold you. Far deeper than that. Understood the person, went on the inside to the person. I see you. And we use that expression sometimes when we say, I hear you.
Yeah.
But the words is more than that. It's a meaning behind it. People's heart and feel it. So when we think, when we say it, when we take an approach of I see you, that means that we are going about to support this person and what they're. We're going about to encourage this person in what they. We're going about to empower this person in what they do. Leaders often struggle with this idea, notion about sharing power.
Power is mine.
Exactly, right, press. It goes to our head and that kind of thing. So we think that if we either share it or give it away, that it diminishes us.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
My former pastor was like a magic penny.
Exactly. More you give, more you have, right? So my former pastor um, met with us. We were members of what we call the church council. These are the senior leaders in the church. So so we all sat in his office, and in a meeting, he, not out of ego or anything, he just wanted to make it abundantly clear for all of us. He said, "I'm not threatened by any of you," and that had nothing to do with our ability, our skill, nothing.
Yeah.
It was because he knew who he was.
It's true.
He went on to say, God put me here. When God wants to move me, he'll move me. But not before. Not before. So it didn't really matter who we were, what we could do. I mean, as leaders, what we want to do is empower people so that they can go further in the direction of their ability, become the person that God has designed them to be. We are for them. We're not threatened by you. We shouldn't be threatened by you. Why should we be threatened by you?
My pastor this year, he preached last week, probably for the first time for the year. I wasn't there for profound, but for the first time that I heard him for the entire year, yeah. Right? Why? Because he took a position that said, I want to raise up the young people, and he starts to get, you preach this Sunday, you preach that Sunday, you take 2 Sundays, you do this, you do that. And he sat while they preach, and he was their biggest supporter.
Yep.
He encouraged them from the crowd. He was up. He took note. He was like, he leaned in. When he spoke after, he said, I like this and I like that. And he gave so much empowerment to everyone. And he was so willing, like he didn't say, okay, I'll give one person once a month that kind of thing. And there's nothing would be wrong with that. But he was like, I'm not preaching until I feel like everybody had a chance. Because he's so comfortable. He said that I am here, I am called here, and it doesn't matter if someone could do this better than me. I would support them and I would encourage them. I will give them everything. So like he empowers them. He's not threatening. I like that. And a lot of people would be threatening to share in power, as you said.
And it's unfortunate because it robs everyone. And the thing is, everyone has so much more respect for him making that decision of giving. That's right. Of giving that power, sharing that power. He doesn't have less now, but he has more. That's right. And that's the idea about giving away. You give power away, you're gonna get more than you bargained for. And congratulations, say, man. I wish more people would follow that thing, that example. When we talk about empowerment, a lot of leaders struggle with one simple thing. I have all of these things to do. How will I do this? Simple. It's called delegation. But delegation is not the idea about palming off on people the things that you don't want to do. Right. People often speak about, I delegate that. I really want, so I delegate. That's not what delegation is. Yeah, delegation is an act of empowerment and trust.
Because I'm sure they got to.
Yeah. So when we think about delegation, we often think about, I delegate this task. And we can do that. But that's the short form. That's the lazy form. Because delegation is so much more than that. It's really delegation is so much more powerful than that. We are encouraged to delegate responsibility, right? Not task. So let's say, for example, you want to hand someone the responsibility to clean up a sanctuary after service. That's a responsibility that has several tasks inside it. Right. That person will then determine what tasks they do, when and how. But we're not going to micromanage them. To say to them, you need to pick up this first, or you need to move this. No, you have delegated. Yeah. Delegation, when done correctly, in my estimation, is not an action. It's a process. All right. And I teach a 5-step process to delegation. I'm awful locked. So they did something. Can I just not tell them to do that? Yeah, you can, but that's not really delegation. Yeah. So the first step in delegation is I do it. You watch me. Right? So if, for example, I take my handkerchief and I want you to learn how to make a pocket square, then, okay, I want to delegate this responsibility to you. But you need to be up to speed first. So I will then take the handkerchief and then begin to fold it in the appropriate way until it becomes a pocket square. So you see it, right? So step 1, I do it. You watch me. You are the apprentice. You're not touching anything. Don't touch that. Yeah. Let's look at me. Hands off the table. That's what it is. I do it. You watch me. Yeah. The second step is I do it. You help me. So if it's a pocket square, come again. So I did it the first time. You come again the second time. But I said, beyond, this is how we do it. We do this, and then we do this. But then we need to make a triangle here. And I hand it to you, and I said, fold this into a triangle. Yeah. You then fold it into a triangle. So you are helping. So I do it, you watch me. Second step, I do it, you help me. In the third step, we trade places. You do it, I help you. I'm still there, I'm still active, I'm still involved. The fourth step is you do it, I watch you. We've come full circle. No help from you again, right? I'm just standing by watching. This is important because that is where that person is likely to wreck that thing. And you want to be present to grab the proverbial wheel if that happens. So you do it, I watch you. And once I'm convinced you got this, then comes the most important. You do it, I go do something. I leave you. Abandonment. Hey, you charge, you good? And every so often, what do I need to do? I needed to ensure that you are accountable. So I check on you. I sometimes, depending on what environment it is, I come by, check on you. Let's say, for example, it's somebody who's learning to use, like, a apprentice technician who's learning to use this on board. Yeah. A senior technician will come by. So it's that person there to do it. He delegated responsibility. That senior technician will come by and inquire how things going. Yeah. Any challenges? All right. After the service, come to them, how things went. I noticed that such and such happened. Tell me about that. Right? You ain't tumbling down on them, but you're holding them to cup because I have entrusted to you this thing that I have held near and dear. Yeah. Right? I'm trusted at you. So I ask you for an account. I support you. I support you. So when we approach delegation of anything, or granted, some things might not require all of that, all that, but the things that do in fact require it, that is important. So we go through a 5-step process and they hold that person accountable for what they're doing.
Yeah. Other leaders say, I delegate this to you, I delegate this to you. And then she walk away and the truth. So I was like, what? I guess I'll do it the way I want to. Right? And then if things go awry, the leader doesn't say that's my fault. The leader says, well, I delegated that responsibility to him. So you didn't delegate leadership to him, you delegated responsibility, right? Yeah. That adds really good.
So an important piece of this, which, sorry to include also, is there's an important, depending on what that thing is, there's an important communication piece because that person who you delegate that thing to might need to then involve other people. One of the problems that we have to do, we often empower people in back offices. And that's it. Yeah. So you thinking, oh, yeah, pastor says so, but you don't have the authority. Yeah. So I delegate the responsibility. I hold you accountable, but I must give you the relevant authority to act on my need.
Everything that you have said, like you really crammed a lot into this conversation. For the people who would want to get deeper into leadership and everything leadership, the people who would like to be a better connector of people, the people who want to be a better leader, a better friend, a better colleague, a better steward of their responsibilities, where can they
Follow? I usually hang out in two places for ministry stuff and related to church and the ministry. We can visit our Facebook page, New Testament Church of God Baratali. For things specifically for leadership, there are two places. One is Facebook, and so we have a Facebook page, and the name of the page is The Rethink Organization. But the other place is on YouTube. On YouTube, I have a channel called The Leadership Guide. The Leadership Guy. It's actually The Leadership Guy 03. But if you go to The Leadership, search for that, you will find me. You'll probably see my smiling face. You'll find me there. So I am a John Maxwell certified leadership speaker, trainer, and coach. Host workshops. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. So once you get to me to any of those places, feel free to reach out to me, connect with me, and we go further. Let me leave this quote with you. This is actually my favorite leadership quote. Leadership is taking people from where they are to where they have never been. Dion, thanks a million. The opportunity to come and chat with you a little.
Yes, thanks very much. Everybody would have benefited tremendously from this conversation. As we say on this channel, we explore faith beyond religion. Join us next time on the Lighthouse Lodge.
God bless you.